I'm 34, male, and I work as a software developer. Life's not glamorous, but I do all right for myself. A few years ago, I managed to buy a modest 3-bedroom house in a decent neighborhood. My younger brother, who's 29, has always been close to me. We grew up in a chaotic household, and I ended up playing a pseudo-parental role for him. Our parents, especially our mom, were more concerned with appearances than substance. And then there's my sister, 35, entitled beyond belief, and a constant thorn in my side. The story starts last year when my brother had a health scare. He was diagnosed with a severe but treatable condition. The problem was the medical bills. He works as a freelance graphic designer, and while he's talented, his income isn't exactly consistent. Insurance covered part of it, but he was still looking at over $40,000 in out-of-pocket costs. He didn't ask me for help outright. Instead, he came over one evening, clearly stressed, and vented about the situation. I didn't even hesitate. He's my brother. I had savings and figured I could put off some of my own goals. I covered the bills, no strings attached. My sister, however, got wind of it. It started innocently enough. My sister came over under the pretense of a family check-in. She was overly sweet, syrupy, even which immediately put me on edge. After a bit of small talk, she brought up the money I gave our brother. "I heard you helped him out," she said, her voice oozing faux admiration. "That's so generous of you. I wish I had a brother like that." I knew where this was heading, so I stayed vague. "Yeah, well, he needed help?" She leaned in, her smile tightening. "It's funny, you know? I've been thinking about buying a new place. Something upscale. A penthouse, maybe. You wouldn't believe the listings I've been seeing. It's all so me." I stared at her blankly. And she continued, undeterred, "It would mean the world if you could help me. Just think about it. Helping your sister live the life she deserves. I could finally host the family gatherings. You wouldn't have to cook Thanksgiving anymore." It took everything in me not to laugh. "You're joking, right?" Her face hardened. "Why would I be joking? You helped him. Why not me?" I took a deep breath, keeping my voice calm. "Because he was facing medical debt. You're shopping for luxury apartments. It's not the same." Her tone sharpened. "You're playing favorites. Do you even realize how unfair that is?" "Fair?" I shot back. "What's unfair is you expecting me to bankroll your life choices. You're a grown adult with a full-time job. That's rich," she sneered. "You're sitting on a pile of money, living in your cozy little house, while I'm stuck renting in the city." "You're renting because you insist on living in a high-rise with a view," I pointed out. "Maybe scale down?" She stormed out, slamming the door, but I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. 2 weeks later, my mom called. I could tell from her tone that she wasn't just checking in. "Your sister told me what happened," she began, her voice dripping with disapproval. "Why would you deny her when you helped your brother?" "Because she's asking for a penthouse," I said bluntly. "Do you hear how ridiculous that sounds?" "She's family," my mom snapped. "Family supports each other. Or is that just selective for you?" I pinched the bridge of my nose. "Mom, I'm not an ATM. I helped him because he had no other options." "She does." "That's not the point," she shouted. "You're driving a wedge in this family with your selfishness." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Selfish? I just paid off 40 grand in medical bills. "Well, you should have saved some for your sister," she said, as though that made perfect sense. This wasn't the first time my mom had sided with my sister. Growing up, she always caved to her tantrums, rewarding her bad behavior to keep the peace. But I wasn't a kid anymore, and I wasn't about to let them guilt-trip me into submission. The situation escalated quickly. My sister started spreading lies to extended family, painting me as a heartless miser who refused to help. She even claimed I had promised her the money and then gone back on my word. Suddenly, I was fielding calls and texts from aunts, uncles, and cousins, all weighing in on something they didn't fully understand. "Why are you being so stubborn?" one cousin asked. "She's your sister," another chided. It felt like I was being ganged up on, but I refused to cave. If anything, their meddling only strengthened my resolve. What really set me off, though, was what my sister did next. She hired a lawyer. I got a formal letter accusing me of breach of contract and demanding I honor my financial commitment to her. It was ludicrous. There was no contract, verbal or otherwise. but the letter was full of legal jargon meant to intimidate me. I called a lawyer of my own, who assured me I had nothing to worry about. "This is a scare tactic," he said. "She doesn't have a leg to stand on." That didn't stop her from escalating. She started trashing me on social media, posting vague but clearly targeted rants about certain people who pretend to be generous but only when it benefits them. She even dragged my brother into it, accusing him of manipulating me into giving him the money. I was livid. She'd crossed the line, and I was done playing nice. Here's where the revenge comes in. My sister has always had a habit of oversharing online. She posts everything: her lavish nights out, her designer purchases, her trips to luxury spas. I started documenting it all. Screenshots, timestamps, the works. I also pulled up her public financial records. Turns out she was behind on credit card payments and owed several $1,000s in unpaid rent. Armed with this information, I countered her lawyer's scare tactic with one of my own. My lawyer drafted a cease and desist letter, outlining her defamatory behavior and warning her that if she didn't stop, I'd file a countersuit for harassment and slander. We included all the screenshots and records as evidence. When she received the letter, she panicked. She called me, screaming and crying, accusing me of ruining her life. I calmly told her, "You did this to yourself." All I did was document it. But I didn't stop there. I shared the same screenshots and evidence with the extended family, who had been so quick to judge me. I made it clear that while I had no intention of airing dirty laundry, I wouldn't sit back and let her lie about me. The shift was immediate. People who had been criticizing me started apologizing. Some even called her out directly, which only made her spiral further. The final nail in the coffin came when her landlord, who saw one of her social media posts bragging about upgrading soon, decided to follow up on her unpaid rent. She was evicted within a month. She tried to blame me for that, too, claiming I'd sabotaged her life. But the truth is, all I did was hold up a mirror. She was the one who chose entitlement over accountability. As for my mom, she's still mad at me, but I think even she realizes my sister went too far. Our relationship is strained, but honestly, I'm okay with that. I'm done bending over backward for people who don't appreciate it. To anyone dealing with entitled family members, set boundaries. Don't let guilt or pressure dictate your decisions. And if they try to tear you down, don't be afraid to fight back. Subscribe for more stories, because sometimes the best drama isn't on TV.